My husband was entertaining his mistress in our home, and I was locked out. I knew what would happen next. He would jump from the third-floor balcony, then, he'd pretend to be returning from outside, lure me away from the apartment, and give his one true love a chance to escape. I knew all this because I have been reborn. In my last life, I clung to the door, refusing to leave, and was beaten black and blue for my defiance. This time, I would go with him willingly. I would even forgive his infidelity and promise to be a good wife, because I knew a secret he didn't. That jump from the third floor had already given him a severe concussion. He only had a few days left to live. When Leo stormed up to me, rubbing his head in frustration, I knew the wheels of fate were turning once more. "Are you insane?" he hissed. "I told you I wasn't home. Do you believe me now?" I looked him up and down, my gaze lingering on the details. I didn't miss the misplaced button on his collar, or the fresh mud and grass stains on his expensive leather shoes. 15 minutes earlier, I had returned from a business trip, suitcase in tow. As I approached our front door, I heard the sound of a man and woman laughing inside. The man's voice was unmistakably my husband's. The moment I turned the key in the lock, the apartment fell silent. I unlocked the door, but just as I was about to push it open, I heard footsteps rushing towards it. Click. It was bolted from the inside. There was no longer any room for doubt. My husband was cheating on me in our own home. I pounded on the door, my voice rising. "Leo, open this door." Silence. I called his phone, threatening to make a scene if he didn't let me in. He flatly denied being home. "The lock has always been tricky," he said, his voice strained. "You must have broken it." It was a lie so pathetic it wouldn't fool a child. I certainly didn't buy it. I kept hammering on the door, and just like in my previous life, he hastily threw on his clothes and jumped from our third-floor balcony onto the manicured lawn below, before rushing around to the front of the building to confront me. Panting for breath, Leo shifted uncomfortably under my scrutinizing gaze and cleared his throat. My shouting had already attracted our neighbors. The old lady from across the hall saw Leo and tried to mediate. "Honey, calm down," she said kindly. "Your husband's right. If he was inside, how could he be standing out here with you? It's all just a misunderstanding." A few others murmured in agreement. Leo's face flushed with anger. He grabbed my arm, his voice a low, furious whisper. "Stop making a scene like a madwoman. You're coming with me." He tried to drag me away, but I held fast to the door handle. He couldn't budge me. This enraged him. He spun around, his face a dark mask of fury. "If you don't move now, I'll beat you to death." In my last life, I was stubborn. I held on to that door, determined to see the face of the woman hiding inside. For that, Leo kicked me down the stairwell. "I gave you a chance to walk away with dignity," he had snarled, "but you had to make a scene." He dragged me to the basement and locked me in. By the time I got back to the apartment, it was empty. The woman was long gone. Because of that, I demanded a divorce. At first, Leo refused, insisting he was innocent and that I was paranoid. 2 days later, he suddenly agreed. We went to the courthouse, and just moments after we signed the papers, he collapsed, vomiting blood. Only then did I find out. The fall had caused a delayed brain hemorrhage. He had checked himself out of the hospital against medical advice, just to divorce me and sign over all his assets to his mistress. And it was my own cousin, Isabel, the very person who introduced me to Leo, who delivered the final blow. "Thank you for making my dream come true, little cousin," she'd said with a triumphant smile. "The life of the wealthy Mrs. Archer was always meant to be mine, reborn. I would not make the same mistake. I would hold on to my life as the wealthy Mrs. Archer." "I believe you," I whimpered, letting go of the door. I reached for his sleeve timidly. "You came back from outside. Of course I believe you, darling. It was all my fault. I was wrong to accuse you. You're so busy with work, and I just made more trouble for you." My sudden shift left Leo stunned. He had been prepared for a fight, ready to drag me away by force. My surrender was like a punch thrown into a pillow. "Well, as long as you know you were wrong," he said, his tone softening. He launched into a self-important lie. "I was in the middle of a meeting. Do you have any idea how close you came to costing me a multi-million-dollar deal?" "I'm so sorry, darling," I said, my voice full of remorse. "It won't happen again." Leo let out a sigh of relief and patted my hand. "All right, let's go get something to eat." He was still desperate to get me away from there, to give his lover time to flee. I feigned thoughtfulness. "I just ate on the way here. You should get back to the office, darling. You're so busy." "I'll just call a locksmith and wait here." The neighbor across the hall chimed in. "Oh, I have a great locksmith's number. My grandson locked himself out last week. Here, dearie, let me give you the number." I thanked her and dialed. The locksmith said he could be there in 15 minutes. Leo's brow furrowed, a storm of irritation brewing behind his eyes. After the call, I linked my arm through his affectionately. Darling, let me walk you to your car. I had no intention of receiving another kick to the heart like last time. Just as I said that, a loud crash echoed from inside our apartment. I feigned a startled jump. In my past life, this didn't happen. Darling, what was that sound? I asked. It sounded like a chair falling over in our apartment. Leo's back went rigid. I must have left a window open this morning, he said, his voice strained. Probably the wind. The wind. What kind of wind could knock over a solid wooden chair? A hurricane. I bit my lip to hide a smile and chided him gently. You're so careless. The neighbors exchanged knowing glances but said nothing more. I happily walked away with Leo, pretending not to see the colorful expressions on their faces. In this life, I was deaf and blind. As long as I could hold on until Leo was lying in an ICU bed, I couldn't care less about anything else. When I returned, the apartment was empty, the mistress gone, but unlike last time, there was something new on our bed, a delicate gold necklace. I glanced at the toppled wooden chair and a theory began to form in my mind. Without a word, I picked up the necklace and put it away. The long trip had exhausted me. I needed to relax. I considered a bubble bath but dismissed the idea, disgusted by the thought that they might have used the tub. A quick shower would have to do. After my shower, with an expensive face mask on, I called Leo. Darling, are you done with work yet? Still a few things to wrap up. I pouted into the phone. It seems you've forgotten what today is. And I came back from my trip 2 days early just for this. He paused on the other end. I pressed on, my voice turning into the sweet, cloying tone he could never resist. Are you still mad at me, darling? It's only because I care about you so much. Time and time again, this voice had made him melt. He finally remembered. Today was our wedding anniversary. When he spoke again, his voice was tender. I'm sorry, Clara. I've been so swamped lately. I'll make it up to you tonight. I accepted sweetly. At a Michelin-starred restaurant, the atmosphere was perfect. Flowers, red wine, cake, gifts. We reminisced about his romantic proposal in this very same spot. The flickering candlelight cast shadows on the wall, and for a moment, I saw a film of our 3 years together. We did have happy times. When we first met, he was a perfect gentleman. During our courtship, he doted on me, cooking my favorite meals, bringing me hot tea during my period, and driving through the night to be by my side when I was sick. When he knelt before me and asked me to be his wife, I had said yes without hesitation. I don't know when it all changed. The meetings became more frequent, and he started coming home later and later. I sensed something was wrong and tried to fix our relationship, but it was already too late. Tonight, Leo was in high spirits. I gazed at him with adoring eyes, making him feel like we were back in the first blush of love. We raised our glasses again and again, to the past, the present, and the future. Drinking alcohol is the worst thing for someone with a concussion, but who was I to stop him? Leo's face was flushed, his eyes fixed on me with a look of raw lust that made my skin crawl. He leaned in to kiss me, but I gently pushed him back. Not yet. Let's take a picture. In the photo, my smile was blissful. Leo's eyes were hazy, his gaze locked on my face. It was the perfect portrait of a doting husband and his loving wife. I posted it on social media with a caption that was just as sickeningly sweet. I only borrowed you for a journey, but that journey has become my entire life. Happy anniversary. A moment later, Leo's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and silenced the call. Who was that? I asked with concern. Is it okay not to answer? It's nothing, he replied coolly. I just smiled. I excused myself to the restroom. When I returned, Isabel was sitting in my chair, across from Leo. A wedding anniversary for 2, now a party for 3. It was absurd, but if the third person is family, it suddenly becomes acceptable. For years, my cousin Isabel had been a constant presence in my marriage. When we went shopping, she'd say, "It's been so long since I've shopped. Clara, you have such great taste. Let me tag along and you can help me pick some things." When we went to a private dinner, she'd say, "Oh, that place has the best braised pork. You two go ahead and talk. I'll leave as soon as I'm full." When we went to a hot spring resort, she'd say, "I just bought a new swimsuit and I've been dying for a chance to wear it." I was the world's biggest fool, letting them carry on their sordid affair right under my nose. Tonight, Isabel used the same tactic. She was just passing by, she said, and asked if I minded if she played third wheel for a bit. Before I could answer, Leo spoke with easy familiarity. "Isabel, we're family. Don't be so formal. I smiled and watched them perform. She smiled back, then asked, as if it were an afterthought, Clara, I lost a necklace. A gold one. Have you seen it? Leo's head snapped up. He swallowed nervously. No, I replied flatly. She stared at me, muttering under her breath, how could you not have seen it? That's not how it happened last time. Leo didn't understand. I pretended I didn't either. What was that? Cousin. Isabel dropped the act. She looked at me, then took a deep breath, as if steeling herself. She reached across the table and took Leo's hand. Clara, I'm pregnant, and the baby is Leo's. I've already divorced my husband, she continued, her voice gaining strength. The courthouse is still open. Let's go get your divorce now. Even Leo was blindsided. He shot up from his seat. Isabel, what are you talking about? She ignored him, her eyes fixed on me, determined to burn everything to the ground. Leo, you know I love you. I can't be your secret lover anymore. I want to be with you, openly and honestly. She turned her fiery gaze back to me. Clara, you must have seen my necklace. I left it on the bed, in plain sight. There's no way you missed it. I don't know why you're pretending, but I'm telling you now. Leo and I were each other's first love. We never got over each other. Please, grant us this. My eyes widened in disbelief, and large tears began to stream down my face. I looked like a fragile porcelain doll about to shatter. Darling, I whispered, my voice trembling. Is what she's saying true? Leo's face was a mess of red, his eyes darting around. Clara, she must be drunk. He shot Isabel a warning look. Isabel, whatever this is, we can talk about it in private. Why are you making a scene here? But Isabel was relentless. Leo, are you still trying to hide it? I'm pregnant. Don't you care about your child? Before she could say more, the restaurant manager approached our table, his demeanor polite but firm. Excuse me, madam, sir, is there anything our restaurant has done to displease you? We strive for customer satisfaction. Isabel looked around. The entire restaurant, filled with the city's elite in their fine suits and evening gowns, was staring at them. In our city, the financial circles were small. Many of these faces were familiar. Leo grabbed Isabel's arm and pulled her towards the exit. Clara, she's definitely drunk. I'm just going to take her home. I managed a smile that was more painful than a sob. Okay. After they left, I gently wiped the tears from my eyes and calmly resumed eating my steak. I had booked this table a week in advance. In my last life, I never got to eat it. This time, nothing was going to spoil my appetite. My cousin's words confirmed my suspicion. She had been reborn, too. The hilarious part was, in her second chance at life, her first instinct wasn't to rush Leo to a doctor. If only Leo knew that the two women who professed to love him were both just waiting for him to die, so they could claim his fortune. How heartbroken he would be. The thought of it made me smile. I didn't sleep well that night. I dreamed again of my life after Leo's death. I had tried to expose Isabel and Leo's affair, but Isabel played the victim in front of my parents, weeping and claiming I had gone mad with grief. Her husband, Zach, had suggested a solution. He knew the director of a psychiatric hospital. They could get me treated before my condition worsened. My own father, ignoring my mother's pleas, drugged my tea, and I was taken away in a black car. The mental asylum was a living nightmare. The more I tried to prove I was sane, the crazier they said I was. It was an inescapable loop. They forced me to take pills that clouded my mind, and any resistance was met with electric shocks and beatings. One night, Isabel's husband, Zach, crept into my room, his face twisted in a sick grin, and unleashed all his perverse rage upon me. The next day, Leo finally came back. He sighed, finally ready to come clean. Clara, I'm sorry, let me explain, he began, the words flowing as if rehearsed. Isabel and I were together for all 4 years of college. Her parents disapproved and forced her to marry someone else. After we got married, I honestly intended to build a life with you. I wept silently. Why didn't you tell me you knew each other when we were first introduced? All those times we went out, I thought she was just a third wheel. Now I see I was the one who was extra. I clutched my head in anguish, unwilling to accept the truth. Leo rushed to stop me from hurting myself. Honey, don't. You're hurting me by doing this. I grabbed his shoulders, shaking him with the force of my feigned hysteria. But my heart hurts more. I love you, Leo. I love you so much I lost myself, only to find out you were with my cousin all along. How am I supposed to accept this? I held his head and shook it vigorously. I can't accept it. He clutched his own head, his face pale. Still, he tried to justify himself. I'm sorry, but Isabel divorced her husband for me. I can't let her down now. And the baby is innocent. He even managed to shed a crocodile tear. I'm the one at fault here. I'll give you half of my assets in the divorce. I sneered internally. What a touching performance. Half my assets. Even if he hadn't cheated, I was entitled to half. Why should I accept the same deal now that he was the one begging for a divorce? I wiped my tears. Darling, I can't give you up. I love you too much. This is all so sudden. Please, just give me some time to process this. Okay. Nothing could have stroked his male ego more. He patted my shoulder. Clara, I hope you can accept the reality of the situation soon. I rose like a zombie and went to the bathroom. I heard his phone ring. His voice was gentle, almost smug. Isabel, you have to give Clara some time. Don't worry, the baby is still small. There's no rush. He had no idea how urgent it was. After all the drinking, and now my vigorous head, shaking, his time was running out even faster. Leo blamed Isabel for being too hasty. He was filled with guilt for me, his poor, pitiful wife, who still loved him so deeply that her only response to his betrayal was helpless tears. He was even a little angry with Isabel, but she was pregnant with his child, so what could he do? So when she showed up at our door with my parents, he could only sigh in resignation. Mom, Dad, I'm sorry, he said, bowing his head. Whatever you want to do to me today, I'll accept it. Isabel, clutching her flat stomach, knelt before my father. Uncle, I'm so sorry. I never wanted this to happen. My father wrung his hands. Isabel, how could you be so foolish? Uncle, I'm sorry. I was wrong, she wailed, clinging to his leg. But what about my baby? He'll be born and people will call him a bastard. Can you bear to see your own nephew suffer like that? She sobbed into my father's lap. To an outsider, it would look like she was his real daughter. And I, the actual victim, stood by and watched the whole circus in silence. Smack. A sharp slap echoed through the room, landing squarely on Isabel's face. You shameless whore, my mother screamed. You're pitiful. What about my daughter? It was my mother, the same mother who had never dared to raise her voice to Isabel. Today, she was utterly enraged. My father stared at her, his eyes wide. You crazy woman, what are you doing? But my mother was no longer afraid. She raised her hand and slapped Isabel again. A homewrecker, and she has the audacity to cry here. My daughter has been wronged so deeply. Who will stand up for her? I'll kill this bitch today and get justice for my daughter. My father lunged forward to kick my mother, but I moved quickly, pulling her behind me. My mother's loving eyes met mine. My dear daughter, she whispered, I've let you suffer for so many years. Tears streamed down my face. My mother was uneducated, and in the presence of my educated father, she had spent her life with her head bowed. Every decision in our house, down to how many onions to buy, was made by him. From a young age, my father doted on Isabel. His older brother had paid for his college tuition. He'd say, so it was his duty to take care of his daughter. When we moved to the city, my father brought Isabel from her village to live with us, and attend a better school. From that day on, our family had 2 daughters. He demanded my mother treat Isabel like her own flesh and blood. Everything I had, Isabel had too, and things I didn't have, she still got. Eventually, she got new clothes, and I wore her downs. My father saw nothing wrong with it. Your cousin is a young lady now. We can't have her looking shabby. You're the younger sister. What's wrong with wearing her old clothes? Once, my mother secretly bought me a new dress. Isabel saw it and ran back to her village in tears, crying to her parents that my mom was playing favorites. The result, my father beat my mother so badly he broke her leg. She was bedridden for months. He stopped giving her any money. After that, his reputation as a man who repays his debts of gratitude spread far and wide. He had built his own noble image on the suffering of his wife and daughter. I never dared to tell my mother my grievances again. I knew she couldn't fight back, and it would only bring her more pain. Now, my father was demanding I divorce Leo today. My mother threw herself on the floor, kicking and screaming. The woman who had been silent her whole life was a changed person. Is that shameless girl secretly your love child with your sister-in-law? She shrieked, her words sharp and accusatory. Why else would you treat her better than your own daughter? My father's face turned purple with rage. You shrew, what nonsense are you spouting? He lunged at her again, but this time, he was stopped by the police officers who had just arrived. Stop right there. I knew Isabel wouldn't give up until she got what she wanted, so I had called them in advance. In the mediation room, Isabel sat across from me. Seeing that my parents couldn't force my hand, she adopted a sorrowful expression. Clara, you still won't agree to the divorce. You're not like me. I got married right after college and I've never worked a day in my life. But you're a modern woman, a career woman. If your husband is rotten, you should just throw him away and start a new life. Don't modern women have zero tolerance for cheating? My father chimed in with his usual sanctimonious tone. Isabel is right, Clara. I'm telling you to divorce him for your own good. A man like that doesn't deserve you. I let out a cold laugh. I've heard of emotional blackmail, but I've never heard of being blackmailed by my own public image. The answer is no. I'm not getting a divorce. In life, Leo Archer is my man. In death, he will be a ghost of my family. Leo just stared, bewildered by the bizarre turn of events. Suddenly, Isabel's face turned grim. She looked at me with certainty. Clara, you've been reborn too. This time, I didn't bother playing games. Yes, realization dawned on her face. You did it on purpose. You deliberately pretended not to hear the chair fall, pretended not to see my necklace, and deliberately forgave Leo's cheating, because you also know he's about to die. I laughed, neither confirming nor denying. Isabel gritted her teeth. Even a one-night stand creates a bond. You're heartless. You're a venomous woman. Watching him die and doing nothing takes one to know one. I replied calmly. You didn't save him either, did you? Isabel fell silent. Only Leo, his face ashen, croaked. Isabel, who's about to die? Isabel gave Leo a complicated look. Then her expression shifted to one of profound sadness. She whispered something in his ear. Leo froze. Darling, she cried. Do you feel unwell anywhere? Our baby and I aren't settled yet. You have to hold on for us. But Leo's face had gone chalk white. The shock was too great. He collapsed much faster than he had in my previous life. Outside the emergency room, a doctor handed me the surgical consent form. The patient is in critical condition. We suspect a delayed intracerebral hemorrhage. The hematoma is growing and compressing his brainstem. He could go into cardiac arrest at any moment. We recommend immediate surgery. My hand, holding the pen, paused. I glanced sideways at Isabel. She immediately went on high alert. Clara, you wouldn't just let him die, would you? If you don't sign that paper today, I'll die right here in front of you. I scoffed. What a display of deep love. I scribbled my name on the form. As long as Leo came out of that operating room alive, Isabel would still have hope. And there was nothing more satisfying than giving someone hope, only to shatter it with my own hands. My mother sat with me outside the operating room. My father and Isabel sat on another bench across from us. Mom, I said with a self-deprecating smile. Maybe you weren't wrong. Maybe she really is his daughter. My mother gently tucked a stray hair behind my ear. My poor child, I don't care about that anymore. I'm just grateful that in this life, you are still alive and well. She then told me her secret. She had been reborn, too. In her past life, when the news of my death in the asylum reached her, she was consumed by grief. She found Isabel at a high-end spa, laughing with a group of socialites. My cousin, Clara, Isabel had said with a sigh. She was just too headstrong, but I should thank her for it. Her husband was the one at fault, but she was in such a hurry to divorce him she didn't even fight for the assets. It worked out well for me. Isabel, you're brilliant. Another woman had cooed. We're all so jealous. You're the ultimate winner, but won't your new husband mind? Isabel had laughed dismissively. What's for him to mind? He and his son live off my money. Do you think he's a fool like Clara? It's true what they say. The woman nodded. Financial power determines your status in the family. You're a genius, Isabel. And that old hag, Isabel had continued. She keeps asking around for me. What's she going to do if she finds me? Her daughter is dead. But it's not like I killed her. That place is full of lunatics. Who knows who did it? It's impossible to trace. My mother couldn't listen anymore. She pulled a fruit knife from her bag and walked towards Isabel. Isabel died, and my mother, with nothing left to live for, took her own life. Hearing this, my heart ached. Mom, I was the foolish one. I was weak and let my life end like that. Why did you have to follow me? My mother wept. It was my fault. I let you suffer so much. You always used her old book bags, her old stationery, wore her hand, me, down clothes. Your allowance was half of hers. She got to go to summer camp, but you couldn't. When her grades improved, your father rewarded her. You were always first or second in your class, and he never even gave you a word of praise. I was a bad mother. Watching my own daughter suffer so much, I had almost forgotten those slights, those small heartbreaks of a little girl desperate for her father's attention. But my mother had remembered every single one. Mom, I don't blame you, I whispered. You never bought new clothes for yourself. You were treated like a workhorse in that house. Your husband beat you for the slightest thing. I failed to protect you, too. We held each other and wept, finding forgiveness in our shared tears. Thankfully, Fate had given us a second chance. All that suffering was just a prologue. Our future was a clear and open road. Isabel's ex-husband, Zach, showed up with some food for her. Seeing his beastly face, my hatred flared. Zach, you're a real contender for ex-husband of the year, I said sweetly. You've been cheated on so spectacularly, yet you're still here playing the doting partner. Zach's face darkened. He grunted, "What do you know?" and pushed past me towards Isabel. "What the hell is going on?" he growled. "You told me you'd have the marriage certificate today. Are you playing me for a fool?" Isabel clutched her stomach. "Zach, believe me, I can do this. Just give me a few more days." Zach had once been from a wealthy family. Otherwise, Isabel would never have dumped Leo to marry him. But he was a degenerate gambler and addict, and he quickly squandered his family's fortune. Isabel had promised him that if he divorced her, she would soon be wealthy again, and then they could remarry. A scumbag like Zach was, of course, happy to agree. "Stop dreaming," I said lazily. "Leo's wife is me. Even if he dies, all his assets will be mine." Isabel started to argue, but the current situation left her no room to object. Zach's eyes darted back and forth. He suddenly grabbed Isabel by the collar. "You damn well better keep your promise," he snarled. "You cheated on me, and if you don't deliver, I'll kill you." He stormed off. Late that night, the operating room doors opened. The surgeon removed his mask. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "We did everything we could. The surgery didn't go well. You should all spend as much time with him as you can." Over the next couple of days, Isabel collapsed onto the floor. Leo regained consciousness the next day. In the time he was out, Isabel had been a devoted nurse, tending to his every need. In just one day, her face had become haggard with worry. I, on the other hand, was thriving. That day, I took my mother out for a lavish meal and bought her a completely new wardrobe. My father called, furious, accusing my mother of rebellion. My mother, no longer holding back, shut him down with a few sharp words and sent him packing back to his hometown. That night, my mother and I stayed up late, excitedly planning our happy future together, so I was a little tired when I arrived at the hospital the next day. I yawned as I looked at Leo, lying in bed, his face the color of ash. He looked up at me, and though he was a dying man, his eyes were as sharp and cold as ice. "Clara," he hissed, "you venomous woman, you killed me." I smiled faintly. "You jumped off a balcony for your mistress. What does that have to do with me? But you just stood there and watched me die." He spat, gritting his teeth. "And your mistress didn't. She watched too." Leo choked on his words. "Isabel explained everything to me. I don't blame her. I bet you hate her more than anyone," I said, mercilessly dissecting his thoughts. "But what can you do? You're dying. That's a fact you can't change. If you alienate your lover now, your so-called unborn child won't survive either. So for the sake of the baby in her belly, you swallow your pride and forgive her." My words hit him like a physical blow. His blood pressure spiked, and it took him a long time to calm down. Isabel, of course, understood this perfectly well. She just wept pitifully. "Oh, Leo, don't worry," she sobbed. "Even without you, I'll raise our child, even if we have to eat dirt." A tear rolled down Leo's cheek. "Don't worry," he whispered. "What I'm leaving for you will be enough for you and the child to live on for the rest of your lives." I watched this fascinating drama unfold. A moment later, the company lawyer knocked and entered. Leo struggled to sit up. "Mr. Davis, I need to make a will. Please take this down." "Leo," I interjected softly, "are you so sure the child in her belly is yours?" I calmly pressed play on my phone. Zach's menacing voice filled the quiet room. "Are you sure that's my kid in there?" Then, Isabel's voice, pleading and sweet. "Honey, I swear to you, this baby is yours. I wouldn't lie to you. When it's born, you can do a paternity test. If it's not yours, you can do whatever you want to me. Honey, don't be mad. You know I love you. Leo's not as good in bed as you. His moves are so boring. Do you think I'd be with him if we weren't broke? I'm just enduring the disgust. As soon as he gets out of surgery, I'll make him write a will and leave everything to me. It'll only be a few more days, I promise." The recording was from their conversation in the stairwell. I had recorded every single word. Leo didn't last the night. After hearing that recording, he went into a rage, fueled cardiac arrest. He was rushed back to the ICU before he could say a single word to the lawyer. This time, he didn't come out alive. As for Isabel, her dreams of being the wealthy Mrs. Archer vanished into thin air. When she tried to attend Leo's funeral, she was thrown out by security I had hired. I heard that she went back to Zach, begging him to remarry her. He beat her so badly she miscarried. You bitch, he had screamed. After humiliating me like that, you still have the nerve to come back. Where are the millions you promised me? You couldn't even get the money, and you dare show your face. Isabel had curled up on the floor, begging for mercy. Please stop, Zach. My stomach hurts so much. He didn't stop, still trying to fool me. Who knows whose bastard that was? Even if it was mine, I'd be disgusted to have it share your blood. By the time she was taken to the hospital, she was covered in blood. The baby was gone, and she was left unable to ever have children again. She tried to press charges, but her parents came begging her to drop them. Zach had threatened that if he went to jail, he'd make sure their son, her brother, would suffer. A man with no morals like Zach was capable of anything. My dear girl, her father had pleaded, you're already broken. It's better to take some money from him. What good will it do you to send him to prison? She went to my father for help, but he only offered empty words of comfort. Your brother, Kai, is the only son in our family line. If something happens to him because of you, what will we do? Isabel lost all hope. She accepted her fate. Soon after, her parents married her off to an old bachelor, for a bride price of $20,000. The man was not only foul but also violent. When he found out about her past affairs, he broke both her legs and chained her up in the house like a dog. I heard she eventually lost her mind. She spends her days weeping, crying that she's supposed to be the wealthy Mrs. Archer. But I no longer care about any of that. My mother and I sold the house. With the tens of millions Leo left me, we moved to a city where it's spring year round. My mother divorced my father long ago. I gave him a sum of money to, in effect, buy my way out of our father-daughter relationship. As for him, I hope he learns to fend for himself.